right, guys, so we are proceeding forward with actually installing the speakers. We're going to start out with the customer-owned speakers that we were potentially or previously using for distributed audio through the Sonos system. We still want to utilize these speakers rather than just throwing them in the garage and letting them collect dust. We're going to throw them right here in the ceiling and connect them back to that same Sonos amp so that they can group together the movie room, the patio, and the rest of the house with the bar. Here's a prime example of a way that I would potentially use this space. I could be watching a movie right here, have the kiddos snuggled up on the couch, and then me and my wife or me and my buddies, depending on the day, could be out hot tubbing, watching sports on the outside TV, and then maybe also have the sports in here as we come in to grab our beers or whatever cocktails we want to make. You can make your drinks here and not miss a beat from the game, and then go back out to the hot tub while listening to something completely different here in the movie room. Another prime example of a good use case is, say you're watching a movie right here, we can group together this zone with the movie or the sports game, and then you'll have better tonal balance throughout the entire space. You'll get a consistent dB throughout every inch of this room, as well as we can pair it together with the patio and the rest of the house so that they don't miss a beat. All right, Chase is gonna be popping these puppies into the ceiling.
Let's get this puppy open. I love this little kit too. We've got a mount in here. We've got our typical remotes, class 1 laser. I mean, this is just a great, I wouldn't even call it super entry level, but this is just,
It's like a step above. It's entry level for Dreamedia. We sell some of the best, well, in my opinion, the absolute best audio and video equipment in the industry for home theater. And this is our starting point. Actually, we have the Epson LS or the 4050 model, which is our absolute base. This is one step above it, but Epson is always known for bang for your buck. Just an incredible value. And that's what it's all about. One other thing I'd like to point out is the Epson LS12000. A lot of you guys are probably looking at that unit online, maybe on our website, and contemplating like, why would I go for the LS12000?
yeah, eight.
Why are you guys trying to sell me this LS12000? Well, let me give you the breakdown of the reasons why you want to purchase the 12000 over the LS11. So, big aesthetic difference. You got a white enclosure, the housing for the projector. So from an aesthetic standpoint, you got black on the LS12000 versus white on the 11000. That's not a huge deal, but what really would make me and many of our customers want to purchase the 12000 over the 11 is the perks. So yes, it comes with a projector mount from Chief, which is like a $300 value.
Yeah.
They also, they used to, the previous iteration came with an extra bulb. Now these are all lasers, so you don't have to worry about bulbs.
Thank goodness.
The other big thing is the warranty, guys. And I think this is the number one for me. Yeah, this is the projector mount that's gonna come with the unit. The warranty, guys, I mean, peace of mind. An advanced replacement. So the 11000 has a 2-year warranty, whereas you get an extra year, a 3-year warranty with the 12000. And you get advanced replacement, which means you call my guys up if you have any issues with the projector. And what happens is the manufacturer sends you a brand new one, a replacement to your door, and it's fast. Last time it was like, we couldn't even get the customer on the schedule fast enough to get out there. It was like 2 or 3 days, and we had a replacement at the house. We pull down the old one, pop it in the box, and send it back to Epson with a prepaid return label, and you're done. It costs the customer nothing, and it's fast and easy. The warranty's huge, as well as this projector mount. And I think another difference is the back plate. Yeah, it's over there in that box. There's this back cover that goes, no, it's in that box, that long one over there. Oh, maybe not. It might be in here. So there's a back cover. You can see it right here on the accessories that are included. But the cover actually snaps over the back and houses and hides all of your HDMI connections, power cable, all of that, so that it's not just dangling. I mean, small detail.
It matters. It does.
It does.
So you care for the product from the
Exactly.
manufacturer.
Just a little detail that I really like. So we're going to continue with the unboxing. Registration.
For warranty, guys.
So important. So to get that 3-year warranty, you need to provide your registration and a copy of your invoice from Dreamedia or your authorized retailer or reseller, your dealer. That way they can verify that you purchased from an authorized retailer.
Yeah.
If you don't purchase from an authorized retailer, if you're buying it through some guy down in Denver off the side of the road, or maybe some random website that's on the unauthorized list.
AV gear for less, some sort of discount site.
If it's a discount
confirm.
site, it's probably on the unauthorized list. And I believe Epson has an unauthorized list.
An authorized list for dealers. Yeah, we show up on that.
I think they also have a list of
people that
like
shouldn't buy
the ones that have been blacklisted because they've had such an issue with unauthorized reselling of this product. But we've been a dealer for 13 years now, and we're going to continue to be here for years to come. We want to make sure that all of the products that we sell here at Dreamedia come with a full manufacturer warranty. So provide your invoice from Dreamedia and get that thing registered upon purchase.
Yeah, if you have it and it's not registered, no one's going to help you from Epson.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard.
Get it registered. So there's that back plate I was talking about. That snaps onto the back of the unit and hides all of your cables. I think it
just cleans it up.
It cleans it.
Especially in a case like this where you can look from behind the projector. You really want something like this. Oh,
all right. Here's our remote that's included. And if you guys look on the remote, there's a lens button. One thing I really love about Epson at this price point is their lens shifting capabilities. Really, really nice feature. It allows you to say if your projector cannot be mounted perfectly center or perfectly at the top of the screen. In this case, we're dialed in because we planned this out. But if you can't get your projector perfect, the motorized lens shift is a must-have item.
Lifesaver luxury. Though I did a pre-planned construction, it does come in handy. Something can happen. Yeah. Maybe your blocking was a couple inches off.
Yep.
Now the house is done. You're not really in a renovation stage because you just have the walls painted. So it does come and do a bunch of hate. You want to take that thing out on Sonos and show it up?
And then all the only other things in this is just the power cable and the batteries. Just got the unit out of the box and want to give you guys an up-close look at it. So first thing that I like about this unit is it has a motorized lens cover to keep dust off of the lens when you're not using it. You got vents here, left and right. Spin it around for me, Chase. Here on the actually bottom of the unit, that plate for the mount is going to bolt right in here. Nice and easy. It's designed specifically just for this projector. And then down here at the back, I can see the connections. All right, now here on the back of the unit, we have USB, we have service, trigger out, LAN, opt HDMI, HDMI 1, HDMI 2 with eARC, as well as an RS-232 for control. And then we have some push buttons here as well. Menu, lens, up, down, left, right, enter. I like they put a lens button on there. I didn't notice that last time I upgraded. Last time I unboxed this, I didn't notice that.
This is one of the only projectors that if your remote does get lost for a reason, you can still do a lot of the internal menus just from the back of the unit.
That's great. And then we got our power connection right here. Bottom of the unit, we're going to bolt this piece straight into it. If we needed to drop our projector mount down, it comes with an extension pole. We're not going to be using that today.
And that swivels into there.
Yep. And that mounts into that. And then this goes
the wall plate on top.
Yeah, this is the top plate that actually clips on.
I love this mount's design.
All right.
So essentially, guys, you see these? We got our 6 holes that line up with our bolts. And as you can see, they close. So there's a lever up here that
You gotta use the key first.
Yeah, so we'll put the key in, and then that'll open up these holes. They'll slide right in on all four sides when we're ready, and then it shifts the two metal plates and locks, and then you have two steel plates supporting each of these bolts. It's a very, very solid construction, guys. I love this mount.
Yep, and then this puppy would go on here like that. Whoop. And then the top plate would bolt right into the ceiling. But we're gonna actually show you guys how to install this thing as we progress with this installation, as well as give you a demo of the unit once it's fired up. All right, guys, I just want to review some of the technical specifications of the unit. This is 4K Pro UHD Advanced Pixel Shifting Technology. As I had mentioned previously, this is not a native 4K projector. That doesn't mean that it's not going to produce a beautiful, bright, super bright, vibrant image. It has 2700 lumen output, very bright, very vibrant. But if you're like a hardcore movie buff and you want that super tight pixel density and you want everything to look extremely sharp, you may want to consider checking out a JVC, especially for a dedicated movie room. This is a flex space. We're calling this the stealth home theater. You're going to view this retractable drop-down screen from the hot tub. Pretty sick setup, but the Epson was the right choice for this room. Whereas a JVC could have worked, but their lower lumen output, and you would have had to go with a higher end model. This also features their precision shift glass plate technology, 32-bit Epson ZX Picture processor, and then their laser array light source and 3 LCD technology. So all in all, this unit is one of our best sellers. I would say, I'd have to check with the marketing team, but I'm pretty sure it is our #1 bestseller for entry-level home theaters. If you're interested in learning more, reach out for a consultation, guys. We will put together your whole room and take some of the stress out of building a dedicated home cinema or a flex space home cinema, whole house audio system, making it just easy. We lay everything out. Our crews handle it with a white glove service and make it to where you can just sit back and enjoy your movie when we're all done with the work, kind of like this homeowner here. Next, Chase is going to be staging for installing our in-ceiling speakers,
As well as hooking up our low volt sub dropout.
All right, front, left, and right. All right, just because we don't need them, we're gonna put away all our URC gear in this room. We're putting in the TRC 1120, the TPK 8600 on the wall, all powered up from our little processor. So MRX5 is a beast. Single room setup here, but we can't expand URC to your entire home. We're gonna move all our speakers into place, as well as we gotta put these subwoofers away so they don't get dusty. Put our Sonos port, which is gonna tie this room into the rest of the Sonos system for the house, away, as well as our Denon ABR. That way we don't get dust on it as we're popping all of these into the ceiling. If you look around, everything has been wired over the last few days. Now we just have our terminations here in every single hole where a speaker is going. Some of these need to be repaired, which is gonna happen later today. Like this old speaker hole, we moved them back here. But the sheetrock guys are gonna repair all these holes. All the ones with wires is where the speakers are gonna go. Projector is gonna go up here, HDMI and Cat 6 for control, power outlet on the ceiling. You got up here another speaker, back here another speaker, sub there. Speakers over here, we're gonna use the Focal IW6s for the front left and right and rear left and right. Wonderful speaker. These are fully enclosed too, guys. Look at these beasts. Check it out. I am so obsessed right now. I cannot wait to hear these Atmos effects. Keep in mind too, this can be used for music listening as like multi-channel stereo. This is gonna give our treble some oomph. And that speaker over there, I don't think I showed you guys, but Chase is working on getting them all into place. We're gonna move the subs out of here and all the other components and get to installing these speakers. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and install our Focal IW6 300 series in our front right location.
All right, guys, these speakers are probably my favorite to install. Focal makes this extremely easy. So a lot of speakers have dog ears, which have a very common flaw, which is they can fall off in your wall and get lost forever or dip off into a ceiling. And once you use those dog ears, you're lost. These don't detach from Focal speakers. You can see this is in the lock position as if it was in the wall. So I'm just gonna bend these clips back, right, until they snap into place, so that you have these teeth facing forward. So what's gonna happen once I get all these open is, as you can see, the teeth are gonna touch the drywall there and they're going to grab themselves. I mean, Focal has made this so simple. So just gonna go ahead and get my positive and negative landed really quick, and then we'll pop this guy in the wall. Make sure you have good copper connections on both sides of the terminal. You don't want a bunch of copper hanging out on the wall, but you don't want the terminal grabbing the sleeve of the speaker wire, guys. So as you can see, I've done this so much. Just by eyeballing, I can get it to where we've just got good copper, full copper connection on both sides of the wire there. Okay, now here is, and this goes for any in-wall and ceiling speaker. The only thing I've got to watch out for is that I'm going to grab my own speaker wire, right? These Focals have enough play that it wouldn't matter, but you really don't want to grab that. So I'm just going to take extra care here to tuck this down into the wall. I'm going to leave the couple feet of slack here in case anything ever changes with the home. Guys, this is the most DIY friendly speaker on the market, right? So I've got it there. You see my teeth are touching the wall. I'm just going to firmly push. Speakers in the wall, guys.
So easy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say for some reason the speaker's got to come out. I'm moving. We're redoing the whole room. We've got dust covers, but we're ripping up this drywall for other infrastructure. I've got to get this out. You guys, if you can see these pull strings here, those are hooked to the back of my teeth that you guys saw me install, right? So you're just going to grab both of these pull strings, pull it out, and it's going to release the speaker from the wall, guys. It's that easy to pull them out. Okay. So again, that was just an example of how to get them out. I'm going to push that back in. That speaker is done. I love Focal, if not other than for how nice their dust covers are, guys. So we've got painters and drywallers coming after I finish the speakers this afternoon. This is going to make sure that I don't have to pull the speaker out to keep it dust free, guys. That's magnetic. It's plastic. It grabs the edges really tight. You can get your speakers in early and leave them for the rest of renovations. Do not throw these out after your speakers are installed, guys. Put these in a box. Keep one of your speaker boxes. Keep these in here. You never know what happened. Maybe you decide to change the paint color in your room. God forbid, maybe you have a leak or something and some kind of construction has to happen. Pop off your speaker grill, pop back on this plastic piece, and that'll give you safe of mind on your speaker investment. So as you guys may have been following, Zach talked about our 4 subs. This is going to be one of our sub placements. And since I'm prepping for the drywallers, we're going to put a low volt box in here to make this look as clean as possible. So gonna slide in my low volt box, kind of kick my dog ears out. This is super simple. The only thing you can go wrong with these guys is over tightening. So just have a light trigger finger. And the good thing is you can watch the dog ear grab the drywall too, guys. Symptoms of over tightening is this plate will actually just warp. At that point, just back it out a little bit, because what'll happen is you'll have trouble getting the actual plates in after if you've over tensioned by a good dip. And since you're right here, I'll show you what over tension looks like, right? It's not going to warp the screw. It's going to warp my opposing corners. So now you see this is starting to bend, and eventually, if I keep tightening, it'll pull these corners off the wall, and then your plate will never sit flush. And you can see, as soon as you see plastic starting to bend, guys, just back it off. These things are very forgiving. Okay, and since I can see it, I know exactly when to start. And if you overcrank it too hard, you'll break the dog ear off the back, and then you can't reutilize the plate. So this is my personal favorite look, these Eaton brush plates for an install like this, guys. And all this is going to do is make sure that we don't have something that looks unfinished, right? We've got a sub cable coming out of the wall. If I can open up this screw bag here, this hardware bag. So check that out. I'm going to just slide my wire through it. The front of the plate's clean, right? The back of the plate's got those grips. So just make sure you land it right. Then that's going to slide up. You're going to install this first, guys. So I'm just going to line up my screws by hand real quick, and then we'll use my drill to keep us moving here. So we're going to tighten this down and try and center it. If the plate gives you a fit, just loosen this up slightly so that you have some play with the brush plate. Okay, and then same thing, we're going to pop open our actual plate cover here that we got matching this exact decor style that they have for their outlets throughout the home, so that it looks like it was part of the original construction. Okay, and you guys can tell that when this is behind our 16-inch sub and on the walls, it's just going to look super clean. Not that you'll even be able to see it, guys, but when you look behind your AV gear, it should look finished. Everything should look finished. The rack room, all the goodies. So again, faceplates are easy to damage, guys, so just be careful with them. Don't break them. Then I'm going to pull this out. Normally I have a handheld on my belt. I don't have it today. And we're just going to make sure that all of these are lined up and down. And that's just that last little step to make this look as clean as possible. And then we're going to fix this one so they all match. All right, on to our next speaker, guys. All right, guys, so you've laid out your theater, you cut open your wall, and you find out that your perfect rear speaker placement has a stud right next to the speaker, which would keep us from utilizing these clips. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit difficult to do, but you can actually you can pull this out by separating the plastic here. Take these clips out, remove the springs. That's the trickiest part. Then we've got two already defined 45-degree angle holes with arrows pointed to them. So we're just going to use this side standard mounting for the drywall here. And on the side of the stud, we're going to use 2.5-inch drywall screws, send those through a 45-degree angle, and we'll still be able to mount right up against a stud. I love the flexibility of these guys. Otherwise, when this was our perfect placement, we cut it open close to a stud. Now we're waiting on drywall and paint to come back, and then for me to come back and recut the holes. So to remove these guys, if you're going to fight all day here, you're going to actually have to tension the spring. And then you see the separation here. That's going to allow me to push in on one side and free this. That's the easy part of this. So now I've got this spring to deal with, right? That can be tricky. So what I'm going to do is get a flat head screwdriver under that, kind of stretch the spring out and unhook it from our speaker. So this is the the hardest part of this doing something like this. What I like to do is kind of stretch the speaker out a bit, stretch the spring out a bit, and see if you can get under. Now this is tricky even if you've done this before, but what I like to do is come around on the inside here where there's the teeth, and I'm just going to play with it till I get my screwdriver underneath. Okay, so when you get this, guys, freeze, you've done it. Don't freak out and pull this out. You're going to then extend the spring yourself and just kind of bend it out so that now I can come out here and pop this out. Then make sure you pull this spring off, guys, because speakers vibration. So if you leave the spring sitting around in there, as you can see, it's pretty close to the board where the processors and transformer are and capacitors. So you don't want that jiggling around in there, especially because it's metal. So you'll just have to play with that for a second and work it out. You can also just go ahead and cut the spring out. I'm not going to do that. We're going to leave this in the original Focal box. So I'm just going to repeat those steps on the bottom here, guys. And then we'll be ready to install these flush up against a stud. Very cool design from Focal. I'm not sure why this isn't in the manuals, or on the internet anywhere. I had to find this out on a job where the perfect speaker place was next to a stud. And I was like trying to concoct ways to do it. It's already there. No one's talking about it though. So again, you're just gonna have to fight with that for a second. And then again, you're gonna bend away so you can get your flat head right up under the lip of the spring. This is probably hard to see and I'm sorry, but you're gonna kind of torque that spring out so that it's not fully wrapped around. And then a couple tries playing with it there, you'll be able to push the spring back into the cavity here and get it released. And then again, we're just gonna play with it, kind of stretch open the hole a little bit, and that'll help us reinstall it if we need to too. And then once you've reinstalled these, you'll just reach in with a pair of needle nose, or my favorite, these electrician pliers that reach pretty deep, and then you'll just kind of close that spring back up after you've reassembled your speakers. So for technicians, hold on to these. If they ever break, now I've got more spares. I've got a box of these in my house. I haven't needed them yet, but don't throw good stuff away. So the one caveat with this is, obviously these pull strings that I showed you guys previously on how to uninstall the speakers will no longer work because we don't have that spring dog ear. It'll still work. You'll just have to pull from the side that has the dog ears, and you'll have to manually unscrew those. So again, we're gonna prep the other side of the speaker just as we would for any in-wall speaker install where we just got our dog ears ready. And then I am going to pre-drill these holes here. That may seem scary, guys, but if you're able to come in here, Zach, and you look at the back, you can see. So I just followed Focal's template out of 45 exactly. You can see screw comes right out, and it's even bezeled out of the plastic already for that to work. So this is clearly a very thoughtful design by the engineers. So again, I'm just going to make sure I'm at a 45 there. Just take it slow. You don't have to worry about it. And then see, again, perfect placement right between that little outlet. That makes sure that the screw's not gonna crack the plastic harness or framing at all. Okay, so now we're just gonna knock this out. All right, guys, so this install is still pretty much just as simple. There's not really much more to it, okay? That's my drywall side. I've still got the dog ears slipped out as normal. We're gonna go ahead. Oh, I'm gonna terminate the speaker wire really quick. When you terminate these guys, this insulation protects against interference and just protects the copper in general. You don't need to snip back a foot. So just a couple inches. I do about 2.5, 3 inches typically. Don't cut all the way through the sleeve, wiggle it back and forth to break it. Make sure that I don't snip the copper or short this wire and then have to deal with it later. Luckily, the Focals are so easy to install. You do short a wire at home. You don't have to worry about dropping dog ears in the wall. You don't have to worry about over tensioning the brackets and snapping them because there's no tools involved on their dog ears. Just that, as far as DIY goes, Focal is by far my favorite line to recommend for DIYers because they've made this so simple for integrators that anyone can do it. So again, just make sure that you're not gripping the shielding or the rubber conduit around the wire when you're landing on these terminals. You don't want a ton of copper sticking out on either side. Focal's made sure this is a fully plastic backplate, so it won't matter. It just, best practice. Good copper connection on either side of our wire without grabbing our conduit, guys. So you can see right there, it's just poking out, just grabbing there, not a ton of copper hanging out, and not 2 feet of my shielding stripped. So I am, as you can see here, we've got some wires to deal with, right? So given this installation, I'm gonna leave them right behind the speaker. I've got a stud right there, so I don't have enough travel to that side of the wall to get them out of the way. But if you've got a full stud band, you're in there, just push those wires completely clear to the right or left of your dog ears. Make sure your dog ears aren't gonna grab the wires. It won't damage them. But if you've got thicker drywall, if you've got 1/2 inch drywall, you may run into a spacing issue. So this is gonna be hard to see, but the same method, I'm just gonna push. Okay guys, so we're gonna have to come back for this because I just didn't catch this when I was laying out gear, but we've got a box back here, a low voltage box that's recessed clean. I can stick my finger between the drywall and that box. So I'm gonna have to come back with an extension screw, but this will just mount to the front, kind of like that box in the back never existed. I'll just need some longer J-box screws. So we'll come back to this when I've got that hardware with me. But there's that Focal speaker in the wall. We're gonna pivot to the last in-wall speaker now. All right, so please excuse the drywall here. These are our labeled pumpkin cuts that as soon as I finish popping the speakers in, I'm gonna go back up and tack these up, fill back almost all, I think, but a couple of the holes the electricians cut, I've kept the drywall cut across a stud, which is what I mean by pumpkin cut, right? So you've got a stud here. If you just cut out a floating square of drywall, your drywaller is gonna have to put some kind of wood backing or something to adhere the drywall to. So when I'm cutting, this is obviously staying open for speaker, but let me check you guys up at the top there, show you the top, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So up here, you can see that there's studs falling between my cut. Well, that's gonna allow me to put that drywall piece back right where it was with the original drywall holes. And that's just going to make sure that your drywaller can be as efficient as possible. If maybe you're cutting in or pulling your own speaker wire, I can go ahead, put the drywall sheet back in, pop my 2 drywall screws, he can come back in. He's just mudding. He's not cutting new drywall, anything like that. So we didn't even purchase new drywall for this house because I was able to go through and pumpkin cut every hole that I needed to run my wires so that can be replaced easily. Okay, guys. So what I'm doing here is utilizing a 4-wire, right? So 2 of these are gonna go to our landscaping. And since I wanted to pull direct burial outside, but I only needed a positive and a negative line to power what will be a 70-volt outdoor system, and the direct burial I had with me just happened to be 4-wire. So I'm going to show you guys how to utilize 4-wire now. I think almost everything we do shows 2-wire utilization, and that's all good and dandy. But so we're going to strip out quite a bit of the conduit, make sure not to cut any copper here, and we're just going to cut as little as possible and then just work the sleeve back and forth. If you cut through this, you know, because the wire runs another 15, will run another 15 feet through the outside of the house when we put the 70-volt system in. You do not want to cut the wire up here, then you're stuck splicing a whole new run. So I'm really just going to take my time, making sure not to damage any speaker wire here, cut copper by accident. Let's switch over to a blade just to clean that up a little bit, making sure we don't cut through the wire housing. Now this wire is much tougher to work on, I guess, I'd say, but it's not horrible. So you can see I've got about a 6-inch strip there. I'm going to slide my flush cuts. You can also do this with a razor blade. This is just takes a little longer what I'm doing, but is safer because I'm never exposing a sharp edge to the actual wire, guys. All right, so I've got a bit exposed here. So what I'm gonna do now is snip the back clean, like super clean. And then you'll be able to kind of just peel out the conduit. I may have to cut a little bit more here. This shielding is extremely thick, but you'll eventually get to a point where you can kind of start peeling this back and make it, your cuts mean more. And yes, this is tedious, guys, but the drywallers are here in about an hour, less than an hour now, actually. So I don't have the luxury of slitting this with a razor blade really quickly and then coming back if I nicked it and pulling a brand new run. So I know this looks tedious, it is, but we only have to do this once. If you're pulling 4-wire from indoors, there's nowhere near as much shielding. So when you go to do this, you'll find a lot of builders will pull 4-wire for a stereo zone, either for cost or maybe they wanted as few wires coming into the head end of the rack as possible because maybe there's a big infrastructure for the control platform and network and video. So you just don't want a million audio cables. Pullback from this is if somebody strikes a 4-wire and you've got a stereo zone, right? And somebody drywaller comes and shoots a screw through a 4-wire, you're out of luck. That speaker's no good anymore, especially if we don't know where the short is. That's a really hard problem to fix. Whereas, like, let's say a wire is severed, it was foamed in, maybe you don't know where it is, it's not, except maybe it's a 300-foot run, you don't want to strip all the drywall. Well, if you ran 2 individual speaker wires, one got nicked, you theoretically could turn that stereo zone into a mono zone and still listen to music. I know it's not ideal, but that's not that I've had to do that yet, but that is why I run and recommend running individual strands. Just looking out for issues that could arise so that we're well prepared for them and not wondering what to do once a problem does arrive. That's that. We're going to cut off the pull string here, which the pull string, guys, if you don't know what it is, it lets you slide, like let's say you open up a speaker wire and then you've got this, but you needed more of the strands exposed. You can pull that back and it'll slit the jacket really easy. I never use those though. So we've got some plastic to unwrap here, some paper to get rid of. These are just really nicely shielded wires. And then here's the most important part, right, guys? Because I'm going to snip 2 of these strands out. Make sure you know which direction the wire is going, okay? Because what will happen is if I don't know where this red black is going, and then I go ahead and snip them here, and that is the correct way in this orientation. But if I snip them up here and then connect the wire, and that's not running anywhere, you're not going to be able to get signal to it. So I just pulled these wires like yesterday, so I know that it's coming from ceiling down. So we're going to snip off our red and black, positive and negative. And this wire is pretty much dead for all intents and purposes the rest of the way. So we'll just tape that off and make it look clean. Okay. And then I'm actually going to retape the exposed white and green, which is the second strand of the positive and negative for outdoors, just to make sure that it's still fully insulated, guys. So again, if we weren't running, if I had direct burial, we didn't plan to have an outdoor system. That kind of like happened spontaneously on the job site, and I just happened to have 4-wire direct burial on the truck. But if I didn't, I would have pulled a dedicated line here and then a 2-wire outside. But I'm just going to get this taped up and just looking right, even though no one's ever going to see it in the wall. Now, I know you guys have probably heard me say don't strip out like 5-6 inches of the shielding. Given this, as you can imagine, because it's not the end of the wire, it's not going to be the most pliable. So I did do that so that we can tuck this over to the side and make sure that the rest of the direct burial line is out of the way from my termination of this speaker. Okay, so again, I've got my sub cable going down there. I'm just going to make sure that's tucked all the way to the stud. I'm going to do the same with the excess for my 4-wire, and this will be fine to sit behind because I'm pushed up against the back wall there, so I don't got to worry about my dog ears grabbing any bit of this 4-wire. Okay, so again, dog ears out. Make sure that our wire is not going to get snagged by them. Get that lined up real nice and straight. But if you're using the cutout template, it probably will just fit perfectly, right? Just going through it. I'm gonna grab my drill real quick. We'll get this low volt ring in and move on. So I've actually got both my coax and my outdoor lines. So what we'll do when we're ready to do the 70 volt system in the summer, because it's been like very far below zero up here recently in Summit County. So we'll come back for the summer to do that, but I just wanted to get the wiring done now. So I'll come out the back side, pop another low volt plate in, and we'll be good to go. That's in there good. And again, we're going with our Eaton single gang brush plate here, as well as actually these are all Eaton wall plates put in by the builder originally. So we just bought matching white decorative face plates, so everything looks good and like it was meant to be there, right? We have to slide the wires again through our brush plate, but this looks so much cleaner than just having a hole in your wall, guys. I can't stand seeing holes in the wall, even if they're hidden by big old SVS 16. And then try and make that as center as possible on the plate. There is left to right play, just so that you can make it look good if you need to adjust. Okay, so we've got that in, guys. Now one more wire shimmy with our actual finished plate here. And I left my flathead at the last low volt box. So I will be right back. All right, so just not even tightened all the way. And then I'm gonna finish this by hand so that we don't nick any paint here. And make these guys perfectly up and down. And then we'll go ahead and fix these on this outlet here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our in ceilings, guys. This is so exciting. So we're gonna go ahead and get our ladder staged really quick. We're gonna go ahead and terminate our wire first and make sure that's prepped to go. And then we'll bring up our speaker right when it's ready to go in. Since this is a side Atmos, as you can imagine, this in ceilings or in wall circular speakers from Focal are a little more forgiving. But you want this tweeter pointed towards the listening area, right? So it's gonna be facing the couch like that. All right, so don't install these backwards, otherwise your high frequencies are headed out somewhere that's not usable for you. So we'll just go ahead and get this wire prepped really quick and get our first LCR in. Exciting stuff. Okay, about 2.5, 3 inches back. Lightly score, then wiggle the sleeve until it slides right off. And you can, if you were to look at this, guys, you can see that there is no copper showing. I didn't even brush the conduit there, guys. Okay, and then cut back about 1/3 of an inch. I feel like that. Well, that's about 1/2 an inch. Between 1/3 and 1/2 of an inch, you'll strip back on your stranded speaker wire. Okay, and then once it's stripped back, this stuff just spreads out like crazy. You'll never land in the terminal. Just go ahead and give it 3 to 5 good twists until the wire feels nice and taut, like it's not going to unspiral on you as soon as you touch the terminal block. So I'm going to drop down, grab our Focal, and we're going to get this guy in the ceiling. And I know we showed this on some of the other speakers, guys, but these have the same holes to go ahead and mount flush to a stud. These are straight down, not at 45, just because of the construction of the speaker. But this is essentially the same thing. These guys remove, just like the other Focal speakers that I've showed off before. And furthermore, these even have a lock. Okay, so you can switch the speaker to lock after it's installed, and that makes sure that these dog ears will not move. So first things first, be very careful that you're not resting the cone or tweeter on anything. Try and use the edge of the speaker. Remember, if you ding the outside edge, it'll be okay because you're going to be putting grills on these anyway, but just be as careful as possible. You don't get anywhere near the tweeter or woofers. So we're going to go ahead and flip out all of our dog ears around the sides. And I probably should have prepped the dog ears on the ground, but that's okay. We'll do that for the next one / the rest of them. Okay, so as you guys can see, I'm sitting here fighting with that, right? Because I just showed you guys the lock button and then didn't unlock it. Right, so just make sure that these dog ears cannot and will not spring back on you. All right, so every dog ear is in the correct position, which is these 2 big teeth facing out. Okay, our couch area is right behind me on the floor. So we're gonna make sure our tweeter is headed that way. And then we're just gonna tuck this excess wire far out of the way of any of our dog ears. All right, guys, so as you can see from the way these grabbed, we didn't actually clear the glue lam joists that have like a T-bar. So what we'll do here is go ahead and pull off the ones that point out to the sides, these two that are causing me from not getting flush, and then we will go ahead and utilize the mounts directly to the wood, which I showed on that other speaker back there. So go ahead and get this puppy on the wall. You do have to pull on it. It is kind of scary, but it's okay. We're designed for that. So yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of these two fronts right here. Do I have my flat head up here? My little tweaker with me? No, I don't. So I'll jump right back up. Well, actually, I'll show you guys this on the ground. But actually, this is just one of those things you run into. I'm gonna have to pull these off of the sides of every one of these, actually. The tops and the sides, depending on orientation we're facing with the glue lams. But again, that's why I love Focal, because I hit this problem with a lot of speaker brands. I would just be out of luck here, but we're gonna go ahead and be able to make this work. So let's jump down there and pry these sides off, guys. So based on how this speaker has to mount, which is facing in, I can't have either of these two side clips, right? So we're gonna utilize these screw holes I spoke about earlier, but before that, we've got to get these clips out. So on the next one, I may try and get the spring out before, because once I pulled it, I essentially have about 3/4 of an inch tension added to the spring, and I think that's what's given me such a fit with this side. All right, so that was significantly easier. So that's the way to do it. So with the other ones, I recommend releasing the harness and then coming back for the spring. On these in-sealing LCRs, I definitely recommend leaving the clip attached, getting your spring off, and then pulling out that harness there. All right, so now that we've got this done, thankfully, since I still have 3 dog ears, I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this into the ceiling, and then I will pre-drill. Since I've got 3 points of contact, that's plenty to hold the speaker in place. Just wouldn't want to leave it like that long term. So we're gonna pivot back to where we started. I'm just wiring my terminal blocks, which I showed you guys a minute ago when we first tried to get this up. And all of our dog ears are kicked out in place. Everyone is unlocked, so the dog ears can actually try and grab. Tuck this wire back up into the insulation here again. Make sure our speaker wire is not at risk of being caught by our dog ears. Okay, and then all right, then you'd click your speakers in the locked, and then we would go ahead and come back in here and then drill in our screw holes. So
All right, Dreamedia family, we're moving right along with these in ceilings getting bolted in. We did like a rough cutout when we initially wired the rim, so we're having to kind of shim a little bit. Looks like some of our cuts were just a little short, so we laid down some underlayment on the floor to catch our dust, and we're just gonna trim them up and keep popping these puppies in. I'm gonna give you an up-close shot of the first 2. Check it out. All right, so all our speakers here. You can see we just got this one popped in. We had to actually drill a couple wags right into the side. You can see right there and right there, right there and right there, just because I am paranoid and I want to make sure these puppies aren't going anywhere. So we're actually going to follow that same procedure for all of the speakers. Now, the other thing I'd like to point out on the back of these speakers, guys, is you have a sheetrock depth or a mounting depth. So depending on if you're going into sheetrock or if it's going into the subfloor, you're going to use different connectors. So check this out, guys. Right here on the back, you have different options depending on where you're mounting it, because they know these are going to butt right up against the subfloor joist. So like say measurement B here is a little bit higher than the sheetrock, you're just going to use the standard mount, the dog legs that are included. Now say the side ones, like that would be D, that would be over here, option number A, you would then add in one of these. So this would be
Super flexible.
just very, very flexible. Depending on the depth that you're mounting into, you can add these clips in. So we're not only going to be securing our speakers with the dog legs, but we're also popping out and screwing into the floor joist just to make sure that there's no possible way. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and pop into the ceiling. Wow, that was clean, Jace. Our front right is now installed. We're gonna go ahead and install those joist clips just to make sure. There you go. So we're gonna screw out these side channels just like we did on the speaker here. There we go. And then he's gonna start dropping some screws in there because Zach is paranoid. And I wanna make sure that there's no way, no matter how much bass I put in this room, that these speakers can fall out of the ceiling. They are monsters. Could you imagine getting smashed on the head by one of these? KO. It would not be a good day. So we're
Never have to know.
you would not be a happy camper one of these fall out of the ceiling. So we're just gonna go above and beyond to make sure that these things aren't going anywhere.
If you're doing these at home, guys, once you get those dog ears locked, because these are heavier than a lot of the in-wall and ceilings from Focal, flip these locks into place, and it throws a pin through where the spring lever is so they cannot release. So just make sure it's pretty easy. They're all on unlock. If you're having a fit getting your speaker in the ceiling and it feels like one of the dog ears isn't moving, it's probably locked. I've never done that. Never done that.
That's right. We do it right here at Dreamedia. All right, so now that he's got that puppy up in the ceiling, we're gonna move on to the next speaker. Boom, 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 boom. We're hitting it with the left, hitting it with the right. We're getting this done. All right, guys, so check it out. Just like the end walls, the end ceilings also had these beautiful magnetic dust covers so that our sheetrock guys can come and not get our
Check lock position. Did I lock those?
you did not. We're gonna go ahead and lock all of our locations here like this to be sure that that pin pops out and if they can't go anywhere. And then we're gonna put our bankroll on. Good catch, Chase. All right, we're cranking. All right, guys, we're moving on to the rear Atmos right speaker. We're gonna go ahead and etch it out just like we did the other ones, just to make sure that we have plenty of clearance to get these puppies in. Be very careful with the dog legs, guys. I mean, check this out. I got a little chunk of skin taken out. I will say, you gotta be careful with these.
Those springs are a lot heavier than the later speaker were.
They're heavy duty, man. Woo! It's got kick. Oh boy. You got it? All right, so now Chase is just connecting our terminals just like we've done on the other 4. So we got our front left, mid left, and right. All 4 of those popped in for our Atmos. Once this puppy's in, we will move on to our other rear Atmos. And then the last part of this is going to be the center speaker, which if you guys were following along with the episode when we installed that retractable drop-down screen, we had to do some serious construction on relocating up the ducting, and we did not relocate the same wires to the center speaker, so we're just gonna have to cut it out again and scoot that beacon up so that we get that center in. But looks like Chase just got this one in, so I'm gonna go ahead and help him with the drill. All right, moving on to the rear right Atmos. All right, we're moving along. We just got our Atmos rear right popped in the ceiling. I'm gonna put the paint guard on. Then we're moving on to our rear left speaker. Chase is chiseling it out now.